I don't wanna go to school tomorrow, I can study thinking about you. And you know I always do.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good afternoon, my friends. The honorable person, my lecturer, Dr. Awami, and all of my beloved friends. First of all, let us thanks to the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His blessing, we are able to come here in via YouTube to join in this English meeting. Secondly, salawat and salam also deliver to our Prophet Muhammad SAW, who has guided us from the darkness into the brightness. Alright, my friends, the presentation today is about the Prophet Muhammad and the origins of Islam. Now, I will read one by one the agenda today. First session is opening by moderator. Secondly, session is reading text by Miftah. To Miftah, time is yours.
Thank you for moderator who has invited me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introduce my name Miftah Rizqy Salam Lubis. I will read the reading text about the Prophet Muhammad and the origins of Islam. The rise of Islam is intrinsically linked with the Prophet Muhammad, believed by Muslims to be the last in a long line of prophets that includes Moses and Jesus, because Muhammad was the chosen recipient and messengers of the word of good through the divine revelation. Muslims from all walks of life strive to follow his example. After the Holy Quran, the sayings of the Prophet, hadith, and description of his way of life are the most important Muslim texts. Early life. Muhammad was born into the most powerful tribe in Mecca, the Quraysh, around 570. The power of the Quraysh derived from their role as successful merchants. Several trade routes interest at Mecca, allowing the Quraysh to control trade along the west coast of Arabia, north to Syria, and south to Yemen. Mecca was home to two widely venerated politics cults whose gods were thought to profit its lucrative trade. After working for several years as a merchant, Muhammad was hired by Khadijah, a wealthy widow, to ensure the safe passage of her caravans to Syria. They eventually married. Divine revelation. When he was roughly 40, Muhammad began having visions and hearing voice, searching for clarity. He would sometimes meditate at Mount Hira, near Mecca. On one of these occasions, the archangel Gabriel appeared to him and instructed him to recite in the name of Lord. This was the first of many revelations that became the basis of the Quran, the holy book of Islam. This early revelation point to the existence of a single God. Contradiction, the polytheistic beliefs of the pre-Islamic Arabian Peninsula. Initially overwhelmed by the significance of what was being revealed to him, Muhammad found unflinching support in his wife and slowly began to attract followers. Strong monotheistic message and read many of the Meccan. They were afraid that threat, which they believed was protected by the pagan gods, would suffer. From that point forward, Muhammad was ostracized in Mecca. For a time, the influence and status of his wife and his uncle, Abu Talib, the chief of the clan, protect Muhammad from persecution. After they died, however, Muhammad's situation in Mecca became dire. The Hijrah. Emigration became the only hope for Muhammad and his followers' survival. In 622, they headed to Medina, another stone, where they were promised freedom to practice their religion. The move from Mecca to Medina is known as the Hijrah, the flight and march year one of the Islamic or Hijri and calendar. Maybe that's enough. Next, the reading text will be read by Nadya Putri Rizqy. But before that, I leave it to the moderators. Thank you. See you.
Thanks to Miftah. The next reading by Nadya. To Nadya, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for Rendi Fitra. I will read the fifth paragraph. Spreading the message of Islam. In Medina, Muhammad continued to receive divine revelations and build an ever-expanding community around the new faith. The conflict with the Quraysh continued, but after several years of violent clashes, Makkah surrendered. Muhammad and his followers soon returned and took over the city, destroying all its pagan idols and spreading their belief in one God. The night journey and ascension of the Prophet. Accounts of the ascension or Mi'raj of Muhammad have captured the imaginations of writers and painters for centuries. One night while the Prophet was sleeping, the Archangel Gabriel came and led him on a journey, mounted on the heavenly steed Buraq. Muhammad traveled from the Kaaba in Mecca to the Fardes Mosque, which Muslims believe to be the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. There he prayed with other prophets such as Moses, Abraham, and Jesus and ascended to the skies, where he was led by Gabriel through paradise and hell, and finally came face to face with God. He then returned to earth to continue spreading the message of Islam. According to Islamic belief, Muhammad was the only person to see heaven and hell while still alive. After the Prophet's death, emergency of Shi'i and Sunni sect of Islam. When Muhammad died in 632, he had not named a successor. One faction, the Shia, believed that only the individuals with direct lineage to the Prophet could guide the Muslim communities righteously. They thought that Ali Muhammad's closest surviving blood male relative should be their next leader or Khalif. The other faction, the Sunnis, believed that the Prophet's successor should be determined by consensus and successively elected three of his most trusted companions, commonly referred to as the rightly guided Caliph, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman, as leaders of the Muslim community. Ali succeeded them as the fourth Caliph. Today, the Islamic community remains divided into Sunni and Shi'i branches. Sunni revere all four caliphs, while Shi'is regard Ali as the first spiritual leader. The rift between these two factions has resulted in difference in worship as well as political and religious views. Sunnis are in the majority and occupy most of the Muslim world, while Shi'i populations are concentrated in Iraq, Iran, with sizable numbers in Bahrain, Lebanon, Kuwait, Turkey, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Depictions of the Prophet Muhammad. Featured in this unit are several depictions of the Prophet Muhammad. These portrayals while somewhat rare, not unheard of as these were, and still are many different attitudes toward depicting the Prophet and humans in general in the Islamic world. This attitude varied dramatically from region to region, and throughout history the societies that produced the works discussed here are among those that allow the depiction of the Prophet. Commissioned by Muslims for Muslims, this image appear in biographies of the Prophet and his family, world and local histories, and accounts of Muhammad's celestial journey or Mi'raj, as well as in literary texts. In each context, they serve a distinct purpose. They illustrated a narrative in biographies and histories, while in literary texts they serve as visual analogies to written praises of the Prophet. An image of the Prophet at the beginning of a book endows the volume with the highest form of blessing of sanctity. Thus, illustration of him was a common practice, particularly in the eastern regions of the Islamic world.
Thanks to Nadya. The third session is material text by Fatma. To Fatma, time is yours.
The capital auxiliary verb. Capital auxiliary verb as a word placed before the main verb, brought verb to modify the meaning of the main verb. Its function to express willingness or ability, necessity, and possibilities. Just have printed in code, can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, must, and ought to. First, can and could. Can and could be used to declare ability. The difference, could to declare ability or past capacity and in the past. Both can serve for the verb capital, can also be used to request permission to be doing something. Example, you can buy anything with your money, but you can't buy love. Can I borrow your car for one night? You could run faster than me 2 years ago. Could I use your computer to print and scan? And second, might and might. Might and might can be used to state possible in the present and future. May be used to permit permission where the verb capital is more formal than can. When it is used to request permission which is more formal than the capital of verb could, compared to may, might more tentative and certain. Example, he may work out and eat healthy every day. You may forget the embarrassing incident tomorrow. May I go home now? If I have cleaned the room, may I play with my friend? The third, will and would. Will to declare the willingness. Willingness can be disclosed in conditional sentence type 1. An invitation or circulation would also be used to declare the willingness, but more polite. In addition to expressing willingness, will and would also be used to discuss or make prediction. Example, I will help you if you help yourself first. Will you marry me? Would you like to see my craft? My father had a strong feeling that the weather would be warm. 4. Shall used to state simple future as well will only use at first person I and we. Shall is rarely used in addition to the political quest for first person. This verb capital can also be used to declare obligation on formal situation, which can be legal document and when meeting. In this situation, both second and third person can be used with the verb capital. Example, we shall overcome it someday. Shall we pay? I call him. 5. Should. Should to give suggestion or advice. Example, you should see the doctor. We should meet more often. 6. Must. Must is combined with not to declare prohibition. In addition, the fourth capital is also be able to express obligation or like. Example, you must not give up. You must go to bed now. 7. Ought to. Ought to be used to state had as true or appropriate. Example, I ought to wear high quality running shoes. We ought to select the best candidate for the job. Next, countable noun. Countable noun is a word that refers to the calculate object, even if the amount is very much like the people in the world, including uncountable noun. The noun included in this classification are the individual nouns that can count amount and each have a single form and plural form. Countable noun, in its application, you can recognize countable noun based on the following feature. First, beginning with article the, a, and an to refer to single countable noun. Second, can begin with quantifier. Third, subject for agreement for count. Countable noun can use singular or plural form. Example of countable noun sentence: I put the book on the bed. He always eating an apple every day. Lot of apples in the kitchen. Next, uncountable noun. Uncountable noun is a word that refers to the improper object to calculate. The nouns belonging to the uncountable noun is one of the individual objects that can be counted one by one. So the shape in the single fixed sentence and only using the singular verb below is the list of nouns that belong to the uncountable noun. The form of this noun is only one single and used in a single or plural form. Uncountable noun. Uncountable failure of noun. First, can only use the word index of the indefinite article the. Second, it does not have a plural form, as well as always regarded as a single object. Third, can begin some specific quantifier. Fourth, subject for agreement for uncountable noun can only use singular verb. Example of uncountable noun sentence: My furniture was replaced this morning. You need a lot of equipment right now. You will see 9 bags of garbage in front of garage.
Thanks to Fatma. Next, we will to open 3 questions. Question can be submitted by via WA.